then the green is Janet. Thank you, whoever did that. I almost forgot. The pink is Miriam and the green is Janet. And with that, Miriam, would you like to go first and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to this, first of all, Sophia and Brenna. I'm delighted to be doing this because it's something that is very dear to my heart. For those of you who don't know me, I'm living in Ireland. I'm Irish, and first of all, I'm a primary school teacher. So I currently teach 4 and 5-year-olds every day. But apart from that, I am studying. Well, I'm nearly finished studying my fashion design degree, but I have also been awarded the Fulbright EPA Student Award to complete my master's in the University of Delaware this coming fall to study fashion and apparel studies. And so that really is such a change from primary school teaching. But my passion in teaching people about the Sustainable Development Goals and education for sustainable development has stemmed from my love of sewing and the primary classroom. So when I go to the University of Delaware, I'll be learning more about social responsibility and supply chain management. So I'm kind of steering away from the creativity side of the industry and working more on the logistics and the responsibility and sustainability side of the fashion industry. And it all came about from creating a course for primary school teachers in Ireland. Last year I taught over 200 teachers, teaching them all about sustainability, but also teaching them what sustainability is and what the fast fashion industry is doing. And it was very shocking for most of them because they had never been exposed to it. It's not in our curriculum to teach children about sustainability from the fashion industry side. So this was very shocking for them, but it gave them a lot of food for thought, and it made them realize that they need to bring it into the education system now, even if it's not in our curriculum right now. So what I did was I taught them how to bring it into the classroom sensitively, because obviously we can't bring, very disturbing facts to children at such a young age. And I taught them how to incrementally teach them how to sew, the children and the teachers how to sew. So, making it easy for the younger kids, but making it a bit trickier for the older kids. So what I'm able to do, I have provided lesson plans for teachers as well that they can use in the classroom. And I've had incredible feedback. It's approved by the Department of Education in Ireland as well, even though it's not in our curriculum just yet. But yeah, that's kind of where I've, stemmed to as far as here, bringing education and sewing into the classroom and into everybody's lives. And it's just important for me that for children, they feel, I suppose, not hopeless or useless in this day and age, that when they're growing up, they feel, okay, I can actually make a huge difference, even if it's just with my clothes. And by teaching them how to sew, they can learn to mend and upcycle and even dressmake and make their own clothes if they want to. But it gives them options, and rather than just facing down the fast fashion route, they have way more other options to be more creative as well and just become more conscious consumers too. So that's me in a nutshell. Yeah, and oh yeah, I forgot about the no clothes commitment, but I think we're going to be talking about that later on. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Miriam, for introducing yourself. Love the ethos working with kids. That's amazing. Upskilling and educating for the current and also future generations. Love that. Awesome. Janet, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Janet Chemitei, and I'm here in Kenya. For me, my journey in the through environmentalism started when I enrolled for environmental planning and management in uni, and then at some point I joined the school's environmental club, and that's how I was introduced into environmentalism and the whole world of activism. So at some point I joined Greenpeace Africa, and that's how my whole journey into wanting to advocate for social and climate justice began. And I'm actually really glad that I was able to take my time from class and go participate in these other activities from school, because I don't think I would have, been I would not have steered away from that much classwork. So I'm very grateful to everyone who has been a part of my life into, me being an environmentalist. I learned to crochet when I was a little girl from my mom and my aunts. So I think from a young age, I understood, how important clothes are, and just being together as women, as kids, like encouraging each other to, be aware and be mindful of what we are wearing and taking care of our clothes. For me, I think if I was not brought up in a house where we did not value our clothes, my relationship with fashion would have been very different. So I'm really grateful for having had a mindset that from the very beginning I knew how important it is to treat our clothes. And then I have also I learned how to sew as well when I was a young girl, again from my mom and my aunts. So a lot of what I do now is the things that I learned growing up, and those values were instilled in my life. So as I have been growing up, I have been associating myself with organizations that in a way my values align with those organizations, and that's why I agreed to my friends started an organization called Creative West Network, where we teach young kids about the value of conservation. So our works mainly revolve around environmental education. So we go around to schools and teach young kids how to take care of their clothes and how to recycle and upcycle wastes around their home. So from that, they're able to know that not everything that we use and discard deserves to have only one life. We teach them how to make art out of waste, which is a really good thing. So to me, environmental education and like just education as a whole, regardless of whether they're kids or they're grown-ups, education is a really good way to instill some values so that we can be able to make this world a better place. Thank you. Over to you, Sophie.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Janet. Really glad to hear about the work you're doing as well. I think that's also very important to educate kids about conservation. I was lucky that my parents took me to all the national parks in Alberta, the province I grew up in, hence my love for nature. So I think that's really amazing what you're doing. Awesome. So with that, we just have some really quick questions for them before we get into the journey. So I know, Miriam, you had some slides about it as well. So the first one was, you already touched on this already, so feel free to just do a brief overview and then we can get into the workshop. So tell us about your ethical fashion journey, what brought you here, and also what drives you in the industry. Miriam, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose for me, when I started, I didn't really know much about sustainable fashion about 2-3 years ago. Like Janet, I would have been taught by my mother and my grandmother how to sew. I never learned it in school, and it was never encouraged really. It was just something that I was just so drawn to. But I never saw it from an ethical point of view or anything. That was more just my creativity. I just loved making. And it wasn't until I started fashion design in college that my lecturer actually really opened my eyes up to the world of fast fashion. And I went to the the Future Fabric Expo in London, and that was when it really hit me. Just the sheer challenges that we're facing, and as a designer I felt really guilty actually to create more and add to the problem when I wasn't bringing solutions to the table. It was more of a selfish thing. I just wanted to have my own label and just create, but I really wanted to find solutions. And for me, what drives me is just the education of it, and I suppose not letting children feel hopeless, because I teach them every single day, and teachers are their biggest influencers really, apart from their parents. But children are sponges, and they can bring a lot home to families who don't already know much about sustainability and the fast fashion industry. And I suppose it's really about being sensitive to about economic statuses within the industry and in education as well. And some people find that we can't all afford sustainability. So for me, it's about creating a lot of understanding and just creating lots of options for people to be sustainable as they can be anyway. So that's what drives me, and that's what brought me here too.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing, Miriam. Janet, on to you.
Oh, okay, cool. As I had mentioned earlier, I learned to crochet when I was very young, about 8 years old, if I'm not wrong. And then my parents used to keep a lot of magazines in the house, so that's how my interest to be a fashion designer started. But then I ended up doing a very different course in uni. But I always thought at some point, maybe after I finished my degree, I would go back and do fashion design. But then a few years later, around at the beginning of 2018, I came across the True Cost movie on Netflix, and just watching that helped me to have a very different and complete look of the fashion industry. And I wanted my work to reflect some of on education and awareness. I did not want to be part of the problem again. So I really wanted to use the skills that I have, which is through writing and crochet and upcycling, which are the things that are very close to my heart, to just try and bring an awareness around the fashion industry and why we should all be mindful about the clothes that we wear. Having been taught by women in from when I was a very young age, so to me that is fashion is a very close thing to my heart, because as I said earlier, my mom and my aunts are the ones who introduced me to this whole world of sewing and loving my clothes, and not having to rush and buy something new when I could repair what I have, because it's the best. It has served me really well, and I have stories with it. So for me, I want to contribute my voice, and I hope that my voice will be unified with that of others, so that we can be able to protect and speak and take the word out there from the people who are working in the fashion industry, and just be able to tell their stories and let everyone know why we should be mindful about what we wear and where it comes from.
Amazing, Janet. That's so great. So I was trying to find a mute button. Awesome. Okay, so we'll be getting into the workshop portion now. So before we get into it, the supplies. So maybe Miriam and Janet, you could just let people know of the supplies once again before we dive in.
I think I can start. I have a few samples here that I can show you. Because I know most of you might be beginners, so I'm going to tell you the really easy things, because when you're starting out, it's very hard for you to give up. So just make sure that you get the essential stuff. For example, I have a chunky yarn here. When you're a beginner, I hope you can all see it. Please let me know if okay, cool. When you're a beginner, having a chunky yarn is very important, because it looks like this. It's very important because then you can be able to do a lot of projects, and it will take you a shorter time to complete them. If you get the thin yarn, you will have a lot of problems, and then you will just give up at the beginning. So make sure that when you go to your supply store, you ask for the chunky yarn. You'll be able to do your projects really quickly, and you'll be able to see what you're doing. Also make sure that when you're starting out, please get the yarn that is lightly colored, because then you'll be able to see your stitches and just follow through carefully. A pair of scissors, it's really essential, because that's what you'll be using to cut your yarn with. A couple of hooks. The most, as a beginner, you need hooks from about 4.5 to 6 millimeters. The one I have here is 4.5, and then this is 8. But for a beginner, it's best that you look for hooks, and preferably an aluminum hook, because it just gives you a better grip. You'll be able to learn really well with it, and it gives you an easier time as you're doing your crochet. You'll also need some bits. This is called a darning needle. So when you're done with your project, some bits of your project will have you will have leftover ends, and you will need to sew them into the project so that your project does not unravel. And then last but not least, you're going to need, you're going to need either a stitch marker, which looks like this, or a bobby pin for which you use for your hair, so that you can mark your stitches and not forget probably where you started your project from. So just make sure that whichever tool you can be able to access, just use it. But there are easier ways of using the things that you have. If you're not able to find these things at the shop, you can just use your yarn to mark your stitches. And then maybe a tape measure, although it's not really necessary, but if you're not sure about the measurements that you want to take, for example, if you're making a scarf and you don't know the length that you want to make, you can use your tape measure to measure your stitches, and then you will know the correct length of the scarf that you need. That's all. And just remember that if you're going to, there are a lot of resources out there, like on YouTube. So when you want to make a project, make sure that you look for a YouTube video that will explain the project that you really want in a simple way that you will not have to struggle a lot with it. That's all.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Janet. I'm writing down notes. Great. Miriam, do you want to send out the materials and then we'll get started with the first mending workshop?
Sure. Well, my kind of tip and advice always is just keep it simple and just have just a few little pieces, especially if you're only going into sewing from a mending and upcycling point of view. So obviously good needles is really important. So, you know, spending like the extra dollar, euro, whatever on a set of needles is always important, and making sure that, you know, that it's quite sharp, but also has a big eye on it. So these ones have a big eye, but they're not that sharp. They're okay, but these ones, these John James ones, are probably your best bet because they're very sharp and they have a decent eye on them. That's always just easier for threading, and that could be a big pitfall for people straight away. I'm used to it now myself, but it can cause so much frustration. Good thread as well. Like I use, this is for the industrial machine, but you can get tiny spools of this. This is Gutterman. That's probably your best quality thread to get overall. But also embroidery thread is so important as well for mending, especially if you want something to be seen and looking nice. Like I'll show you here, I have a dress here that had loads of black stains on it and they wouldn't come out. Don't know what they were, but at the bottom of the dress, I kind of did a sun and a moon and loads of tiny little stars. And that's all embroidery thread. It's not normal sewing thread because it's so much thicker. There's like about 6 strands of thread in an embroidery thread. So yeah, that's kind of it. Oh, and also you can't go wrong with tiny scissors. It's really good quality. Fiskars is always a really good one. And also you cannot go wrong with your thimble. I never knew, only until recently actually, that you always wear it in the middle finger. I always used to wear mine on my thumb, don't know why, but since I've been working with a Savile Row tailor, he was like, no, it's meant to be on your middle finger the whole time. And I was like, oh god. So yeah, when you're getting a thimble, make sure it fits your middle finger and not your thumb, okay? But yeah, that's kind of it. Just keeping it simple, really. Obviously I have a button as well today that I'm going to show you how to insert, but that's it. Yeah.
Awesome, great. So I think we'll get into the menu workshop, Miriam, if you want to start. And then when you finish, we can show the slides about the no clothes commitment. Just kind of like cap it off, and then we'll have Janet do the crochet workshop. How does that sound?
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Would it be possible to share the screen if it was, because I know I can actually connect my phone to this, if that's possible?
Yep, let me just give you a screen sharing. So I'll just make you a co-host, you and Janet, and you can have screen sharing capabilities. My co-host.
Oh yeah, okay, perfect. Let me just.
You should be able to share. Janet, I'll make both of your accounts co-host just in case.
Okay.
Okay, 1 sec now. I'm nearly there. Is that coming up now?
I'm not seeing anything.
Oh wait, now I think it's Wi-Fi. I told you this Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi in Ireland is terrible. 1 sec now. I'm nearly there. One moment.
Also, hello to those that just joined. If you want to introduce yourself in the chat, that would be awesome. I can see you, Miriam, but I get a black screen for like the other one for some reason.
Yeah, it's coming on in 1 sec, I think. Okay, I think I have it. Yes, okay. Is that coming on yet? Can you see?
It says it's it just sees a screen mirroring and then stop mirroring. That's what I see.
Yeah, that's all I see too. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. I guess the problem with the Wi-Fi and stuff. Okay, I think I might have to just give up on that share screen thing. But what I can do is I can show you on this anyway as best I can. So I might just get out of that.
Maybe, yeah, and then I can spotlight your video for the big screen. Okay, 1 sec.
Yeah, perfect.
Spotlight.
So okay, I have a few little ideas if you wanted to, if anyone has a preference. So obviously we have inserting a button. We have embroidery for covering a stain. I've also a little tear that we could just easily mend. That's a bit, wide, those little stitches, but if anyone has a preference to that, or also fixing a hole in a knitted jumper. The kids pointed that one out to me the other day when I had that under my arm, so yeah. So is there anyone with a preference to any of them in particular? I can just get straight into one of them either.
Mary, I just realized something. Did you have like live video to share, or was it just slides?
It was just like my camera. I was just gonna have my hands underneath the camera.
Oh, okay,
that's
never
what
mind.
it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I was gonna say if you had slides, I could show it for you, but if it's like live, then I can't really.
No, it was just all like, yeah.
Okay, cool. I can see you just fine. So.
Okay, perfect. Well, look, I'll start with the button. That might be the easiest thing. So you get your thread and you thread it, and then you add a double knot, just any knot. I'm not fussy with knots really, but always when you're adding a button into a garment, you always start underneath the piece. So you start from underneath here, and you push the needle through, pull all the way, and then you add your button. Now my button has 4 holes in it, so I'm going to do a crisscross, and you just add in your needle here. Okay, everyone can see. I might actually just tilt down the camera a little bit just so it's easier for me. And yeah, so just like that, I'm going to go across to the next button diagonally across it and pin it in and pull through. And then I'm going to come up from the other side from underneath and go to the opposite side with the buttons and crisscross again. Sorry, just pull down that camera a bit more. Yeah. And push across diagonally again. And you're going to do that about 3 times. So I'm going to start again at the very beginning and work from the top down, like so. And then across. There's so many, like there's always variations of buttons, and whether you like to do, you know, do 2 across and 2 across that way. But I just said I like things to be practical when it comes to mending. You don't want your button falling out again. So I find crisscross is just the sturdiest. It's all about practicality really when it comes down to it, but also you can be so creative as well. And like with mending as well, I think it's so important to, you know, learn skill of the subtlety aspect of mending, but also I suppose the creativity side too, where, you know, as you saw in my dress, I have, you know, the very obvious embroidery done to cover stains, but then like I also will show you with the armhole that I can hide the stitches that I've used for mending it. So that's my 3rd time now to go across the holes in the button. I'm not sure if my screen is pinned for everyone to see it, but can everyone see my screen quite easily or not? Because this next part is just a bit tricky, that's all.
Yep, I can see it well. It's pinned,
okay,
right?
well,
Okay,
that's perfect.
yeah.
So your needle is now underneath the fabric. So you're going to push it through, but only don't come back up through the holes. Just come out to just underneath the button. So can you see my needle is now underneath the button, but on the outside. Does everyone see that? And you push it through all the way. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get the thread and you're going to wrap it around underneath the button 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that will keep it really in place. And then you get your needle again and you just go back, you go underneath your button again and you push to underneath, like so. Now, look, it's not going to be perfect looking, but there we go. You push all the way through, like so. And then you go to the bottom and you push the needle through the thread that's already kind of like already sewn in. Push it through one more time. And then, I hope you can see, then you're going to knot. So what I do is I just get my left hand and I kind of make a loop. I push down and I pin with my finger and you pull. So I just do it twice just to be sure. And pull again. And that's your button. So easy. And, you know, like I had a dress that had no button on it for a year and I just was so lazy. I just didn't put the button on it. But it was so easy. It took me like 3 minutes to do. And there you have your garment working again. So that's a button. I could show you the rose next if you wish, or the maybe the armhole one might be good because it's always important to be able to fix things that are quick needed, but also that are hidden. So this is more the subtle side to mending. So this is going to be the ladder stitch. So you're going to see the stitch quite, can you all see that fabric, by the way? Because I know it's quite dark. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So the idea is, of course, again, you start from underneath the fabric so you don't see the knot because that's just unsightly. And you're going to pull up to one side of the fabric because you're going to create a ladder all the way up. So when you have your thread pulled up through one side, one edge of the fabric, you're going to then go straight across to the other side. And then you're going to go sliding up to the next, sliding across like so. And then I'm going to go underneath again and come to the other side. I'm sorry, I hope you can all see that one. Let me just show you. Yeah, okay, so you're going to go to the other side and pull up again like so. and pull. Now I've matched the thread. Now it's not going to make a difference really when I pull it all together, but already you can see it's beginning to stitch together, and just like I don't even barely have to pull it, it's already just working.
Miriam,
Yeah.
Tony just asked, how many stitches are you picking up on the knitted jersey?
To be honest, I'm not picking up stitches because this is actually on the armhole. If you can see that this is where the sleeve and the bodice meet. So I'm not picking up many stitches. I'm literally kind of going in just maybe one just from like the edge, and moving across. It's not even like I'm not picking up stitches because there's none loose. It's actually a seam line. If you can see that, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah,
you.
and then I'm going to go straight across again. You could go in a bit if you want, if you feel like let's say this fabric is quite frail, but this one is fine. And anyway, I could go over it twice if I needed to. So you pull it up again, straight across, and pull. I'm going to try and keep it loose just so you can see the ladder, if you get me. And then across again. Yeah, I'm just making it very obvious. So when I'm on the right hand side for me, but I diagonally go up across to the next line, but then I'll go straight across to get back to the right hand side from the left hand side. I hope that makes some sense. It's so hard to explain stitching sometimes, but yeah, I like to kind of keep it just the same direction if I can the whole time. So if you can see there now, like they're both straight across, but underneath they'll be diagonally going up to the next line. That's all. So straight up again. So diagonally across this time, and across here, and then straight across here, straight across. So if you actually just watch this now, I'm going to pull it and you'll see it already coming together, just like that. And you can't even see what I've done here. It's that seamless. So that's what I'm talking about, the subtlety with mending. I think it's so important. Like, let's say for workwear or formal wear, you need something, really properly fixed. This is what I'm talking about, because I personally like this more. But obviously for more kind of fun outfits, it's nicer to mend kind of creatively. So where am I? Oh yeah, I'm going diagonally across again. And then straight across. So I don't want to obviously spend way too much time on the one thing. I would love to show you another thing if that's okay. But I think you catch the drift here, that it's just about joining one side to the other and then pulling. And then just like that, it's hidden. You can't see it. And then the same, when you get to the end of this, make sure your needle is on the inside of the fabric so you don't see the knot. And then you can just double knot like I showed you by looping it twice, and then you're good to go, really and truly. Has anybody got any questions? I can't really see the chat right now, but Sophie, if there's any questions, would you mind just asking it to me?
Mm-hmm. No questions, but Brenna says it looks great.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Brenna. So I'm going to leave that there for the subtle mending. And if anyone has any questions, I've only a tiny bit left there, but I think you catch the drift there. Sure.
If the edges were frayed, like you said, yours is the armhole, so it's like very neat. But like if it was just a random hole, like how would I fix that?
Like a random hole in the middle of a garment, is that what you're saying?
Yes, but like in a knitted garment.
In a knitted garment. Okay, so I'm actually not like a very experienced knitter. But I would say darning, it would be your like the same, you see it always online with socks. The whole idea of creating the weave again is what I would recommend. And obviously picking up the stitches, obviously trying to get it as seamline as possible. And just, I know there is a kind of like a zigzag. It depends on the stitch, of course, that's in the knitting. But if it was possible to try recreate it, but I think darning is your best bet, really and truly. And if it is the case that it's an unusual type of knit that you're trying to recreate, it might be best just completely having a plain weave with like a contrasting color, that let's say if someone really went to go studying this, that they'd see that it's not the same type of knitting, but you've gone and you've been creative and added your own color or even other design onto it. Does that answer your question, Tony?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to show you now the little rows. I think this is lovely. It looks more complicated than it really is. Can you see that? Yeah. It's really pretty and it's so easily done. So as I showed you earlier with the stain on the orange dress, there was a big mat, there was like a circle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get my thimble and just create a little tiny circle just so I can see it, because you can go wild on these and then be at them for ages. So I'm just going to do quick draw of a circle. Yeah, I can see a circle there now. And I'm going to grab this orange thread here. And again, same thing, you double knot at the end, and then you're going to start from underneath. So starting here, start in the middle of the little circle. I hope you can see that little circle. It's tiny, it's so faint, but it is there. So you start in the middle and you have to make an odd number amount of little kind of prongs. So this is what I mean by this. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go to the edge of my circle. Apologies. Go to the edge of my circle and push down. And that's my first little kind of prong. I'm going to go back through the middle. Yeah. Back through the middle and come out again and go. This is very thick embroidery thread compared to some of them. It's actually the 6 of them. Usually I actually split them in half. So there's only 3 threads in each embroidery thread, but I'm going to stick with this for now. So I'm going to go across here. Oh, it's actually quite tough to push through, but back through the middle again. And push through. So an odd number, because you're going to be doing a kind of a weaving activity here in a second. So you actually need an odd number of threads. So back through the middle again. And there, and then one more. That's 4. Oops. And then one more, just randomly somewhere here. Okay. And then push through again. And then you're going to come back up through the middle again, just at a different little spot, just so they don't unravel each other. Come back up again. So if you can see here now, I'm going to start weaving thread around the circle, and it's going to be up over the thread, under the thread, over, under. So I'm going to start with under, and then I'm going to go over, if you can see there, and pull through. And then the next one is going to be under. The felt is actually hard to do this with, but we'll go with it. Under, and then over again. And then under. And now, because it's an odd number, I have to now go over the stitch I originally went under with, and that's going to create the 3D effect that's in this rose. So you just got to just keep going around and around and around, over and under. Don't pull too hard, because it might might make it too taut, and it just wouldn't look as good. These are not spread out perfectly, and that's okay. It won't really matter really, because once it's a rose, it'll start like gathering together and it'll look really good. So you just keep going until you get to the edge of the rose, and then you can just, push the needle back to the back of the fabric again, and then double knot again. So over and under. This is kind of the fun part, I find. It's just a bit therapeutic. I love embroidery, actually. That's kind of my favorite aspect of sewing. Well, actually, no, I love making dresses too. What am I saying? but there's something very therapeutic about embroidery, and it's actually so easily done. Like these flowers look so complicated, but it's just yeah, it's much easier than anyone thinks. There are some tricky ones, don't get me wrong, and I try to avoid those ones, but this rose looks just so beautiful on, and you can, like, I made the sun out of this rose shape because I added just a few little petals around it, and it actually made more of a radial sun than a flower. So I think you could be very creative with this, and even adding a little like pearl here in the middle would make it so pretty as well. And then just make sure you pull your thread out so that the tail doesn't get caught in the flower, because it'll be super hard to get the needle through. So we're over again and then under. I know I'm flying through this. It's like a time lapse of a YouTube video here, but I'm trying to go as quick as I can to get a few little ideas done. And pulling through again, over and under. Is anybody getting any roses made, or is there anyone just watching?
I'm just watching for now, but I'm loving every second of it.
It's actually really like nice to watch as well. I find it like meditative, like I'm always watching like the videos even on Pinterest, because they're really fast, but I'm like, I just love watching them. Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna read this and do roses on all my clothes.
Yeah, like they're so pretty. Like actually what I've done, like I am all the time repairing my dad's clothes, because he's a farmer, and I don't know, he must be running through bushes or something, I don't know, but like he's all the time tearing his like gilets or body warmers, and like he has one here on my desk again. I only just fixed it like about 2 weeks ago, and he's torn again, but I started like sewing little love hearts onto the like the inside of them, so that like not everyone else can see, but he knows I fixed it. I just think that's so doty as well. Yeah, I just think it's a real personal touch, because so much time goes into sewing that, you know, especially the people who ask you, like your family or friends that ask you to fix something if you can sew, that it's nice to leave like your little trademark, whether it's a little heart or this little rose or something. I just think it was so lovely. And they really appreciate the clothes even more then, because they're like, oh well, like Miriam went to so much effort to fix this for me, I can't just, you know, throw it out now, you know, even though it's been mended, I don't know, about 20 times. And that's what we're trying to create, is that mentality that we just keep loving our clothes, and the more actually we add to their clothes, you know, whether it's mending or just upcycling, that they're gaining value and not losing value. And I think that's really important, that even in education, that we're bringing that into the discussion with kids. Yeah, so now I'm pretty much done here with my rose. I'm not going to add the leaves in, but if you want me to show you some other time, I could definitely do that. It's very easy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just push the needle back in underneath and push it through. My thread is getting quite short, so I kind of have to do that now. And if it would come through, yeah. And then the same thing again. I don't know if I'm going to have enough thread to actually loop this, because my needle is quite long. I usually use much smaller needles with hand sewing and tailoring, especially for like buttonholes, because everything is so precise. But I have a massive long needle today, so it's actually quite hard to twist and get the little hole around, but I think you catch the drift. It's the same thing again. You just loop again and make your hole, or make the knot twice. And that's the mending. So Sophia, I have no problem in showing the last thing, but I obviously don't want to cut it into Janet's time, of course. And I've absolutely no concept of time right now, because I could go on for ages with this. So let me know what you think we should do next. Yeah, there's your rose.
Beautiful. Awesome. I think if you wanted to quickly show the L-shaped like tier fix, maybe take like 2 or 3 minutes, or just to go until like the hour. So like 5 more minutes, and we'll have the last 30 minutes for Janet's workshop.
Perfect. So same thing again. We're going to go from underneath. Hope you can see. Sorry, yeah. So this is very simple. This is just literally across, across, across. Very similar to how I was showing you to do the ladder stitch on the kind of invisible mending. This is very similar. You're going to go underneath, you're going to go diagonally, but on the top, it's going to be straight across. Now, I would recommend to make your stitches much tighter, as in more stitches closer together as you mend, because, or at least do this and go back and do it backwards, because that is not going to last very long. But I just did it for demonstration purposes. Like you can see, if I even just like pull it, you can see my skin even coming through the other side. That's not going to last very long. So you want it to be very sturdy. As I said, you have to be practical when it comes to sewing and mending. So we'll get straight into that. You start from underneath again, like here, and also double knot so that you don't have to go back over and worry about if it's going to unravel. So you're going to, okay, I started that one wrong already, but okay, I'm trying to think now. Okay, we'll start here, and I've kind of started that wrong. I should have started from the side rather than the bottom, but that's okay. So move to the side anyway. These embroidery hoops are great actually if you're finding it hard to just hold the garment you're using to sew, because it just keeps all of it really taut. I would be lost without an embroidery hoop in general, whether it's just even demonstration purposes or even mending. Like I had my orange dress attached to this earlier on. They're invaluable really. So, okay, don't start with a diagonal like that. That's just giving me an eyesore now. But anyway, we'll keep going. I'm going to go across here, and I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to go straight across again and try and ignore that little diagonal that was there. Okay, push through, and then underneath, I'm going to go diagonally up back to the other side again, where I am pulling my stitch again. Can you see that? And to be careful, don't go way too close to this, because this is where, like, compared to the invisible mending, this could pull out, because, you know, like, see if I do that, if I just push my needle through and just pull a little bit, it will break very quickly. So just make sure that when you're mending, that you're giving yourself plenty of fabric to work with when you're trying to attach it back together. So I have left too much of a space there, so keep your stitches nice and close. So from now on, I'm going to keep them nice and close, just to show you how important it is to keep your stitches close together. So nice and close again. This time it's going to be so much closer. And keep it nice and taut. Don't pull too hard, because you could actually snap the thread, never mind the fabric. And push through and go again. Oopsie daisy. Okay. Now, do you see this time the two threads are so much closer that they nearly look like one piece of thread. So just keep it nice and close together, and keep it even. Like, you know, try your best to keep them all the same width. Very hard sometimes, and it's definitely harder when I'm trying to demonstrate it to show you what I'm practicing, what I'm preaching. But, you know, just try your best to keep it, even if you want to use a pencil to mark how the width of your stitches, that would also help too. So you just keep doing that all the way up. And then, as I said, if you felt that if you're not using embroidery thread and you're just using normal thread, like straight away you'll see the difference. It's going to be very hard to keep stitches very close together. So I would recommend going back over what you've sewn all the way back to the end again, to where you started. Just to keep it, make sure it's going to stay put. You don't want to mend the same hole twice. So make sure you make it easy on yourself. So can you see now the difference? Everything here is so much closer. Well, these were so far away, and that's why I definitely would have recommended to go back over it. These are so much closer now that I probably won't need to go back over these because they're so close together. But it completely depends on the type of material that you're using. Like normal cotton, you won't need to go back over if it's that close. But like if it was like, I don't know, chiffon or satin, you might want to. And these stitches might not even work for it. It completely depends on the garment. But generally, let's say if you're wanting to fix your your coat or your jacket or your t-shirt, this will work perfectly with it. And if you're working with stretch, I definitely would recommend to get an embroidery thread or embroidery hoop, because elastane is a pain to sew with sometimes. But yeah, so look, that's going to take me a while to get this done. So Sophia, I can keep going. I just don't want to run into Janet's time, that's all. But I think everyone can kind of grasp the concept, what I mean here, of just not making your stitches too far away, but keeping them close and tight, because now that when I pull this, the likelihood of this actually breaking is so slim compared to this, where you can see the hold coming through already. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great visual representation.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thankfully, my teaching methodologies are working.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Miriam. That was super helpful. I love the rows. I was sewing like a pair of shorts. I had that. The stitching came undone, so that was really great.
Oh, that's great. I'm delighted.
Yay, thank you so much for that. I learned a lot. I'm happy we recorded it so I can go back and look how to do the rows, because I didn't do it in real time, so I'll have to relook. Amazing. Okay, Janet, crocheting workshop. Yay, I was.
Thank you so much, Miriam. That was fun to watch. So I hope you all brought some bit of yarn with you and a crochet hook. Please show me. I want to see your hooks. Give me a minute, please.
I just spotlighted your video, Janet. Let's see, is it working?
Okay.
I know Brenna. She said she has the supplies. Are you there, Brenna? Oh.
Okay. Are we ready, Sophia?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I want to show you guys how you're going to start. So as I mentioned, as a beginner, please have a bigger hook. So let me change mine. So I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook. And then I have with me chunky yarn. So we're going to start by making a slip knot. I hope you all know how to make a slip knot. This is how I make my slip knot, and then make sure that the knot is not too big. Make sure that or too small. Just make sure that your hook can actually get in comfortably. And then there is no right or wrong way to holding your hook. There are, I think, two common types of grips. There's so this method is called, I think this method is called the pen grip, because it's like you're holding a pen to work with. I think most of us hold our pens like this. And then the other method that we grip our hooks is this way, which is the one that I usually use, because I find that it's a bit easier and I'm able to work through my projects really easy. This is called, I think, a knife grip, because it's almost the same way that you would hold a knife. So and then many different people hold their working yarn in different ways. So just whichever way is comfortable with you, please do it. I can't show you the appropriate way, because there are people who can work like this and just make their chains. But for me, I like wrapping the working yarn on my left. If you're a right-handed person, please hold your working yarn on your left finger like this, and then make sure that you wrap your working yarn or on your index finger on your left hand, so that you can have a bit of control to the yarn that you want to work with. And then you insert your hook into that loop or knot that we made, and then you're going to take your hook, make sure that at least the hook part is facing down, and then you're going to scoop and pick your yarn and make it go through the loop that you just created. I think Miriam, you're following through. Thank you. So yeah, have you made a knot yet? Your mic is off.
Sorry, so would you say that again?
Have you made your knots yet? Your slip knots?
Yes, I have. I have.
Okay.
And I'm trying to pull it through now.
Okay.
Trying to remember.
I'm right here. So when you're ready to put your hook through, please let me know. I can see Miriam
yes.
has already done it.
Yeah.
Okay. So just insert your hook into the knot that you have created. I find it easier to have my hook facing down. So that way I'll be able to pick the working yarn without any issues. And also make sure that the working yarn is a bit tight on your finger. And please use your thumb and your middle finger to hold the yarn, the knot that you just made. That way it's going to be easier for you to make a chain.
Okay.
Okay. So as your hook is facing down and you have already inserted your hook into the knot that you have created, take the, I don't know what the direction is, but like just go under that working yarn and then pull through and pull through. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I think I have it.
Okay, so I will do it again. Put your hook into that knot that you have created and then pull through the yarn into that, like that.
Yeah, I think I'm getting the hang of it now.
Okay. Maren, have you been able to do it?
I think I have the hang of it a little bit.
Yay, that's good. So do that again to make another chain. So you put your hook and pull, you go under that working yarn and then pull it through the knot. And make sure that the chains that you're making are not too tight or too loose, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for you to do your project.
It's like learning how to play piano again.
Okay. So just please let me know if I'm trying to. Okay. Okay. Have you been able to make another chain?
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. So go ahead anyway and show everybody else. I'm just tagging along here.
Okay, so if anyone has a question, please feel free to unmute and ask me. I think Maren is doing pretty well. So as you're trying to create, this is called a foundation chain. So this will basically form the foundation of the project that you want to do. And then the number of chains that you're going to make will be determined by the project that you're making. So for example, before we continue, for example, I have a headband right here that I created. Let me put it on so that you can see how I made that. I hope you can see it. So this is a really good project for a beginner if you want to begin a project and you don't want to get yourself tired or struggle a lot. It takes a very short time. For a beginner, it will probably take you 2 to 3 hours, but once you master it, you can do it in under 1 hour. The good thing about this is that you don't need a lot of chains. You just need to know your head circumference, and then you can be able to make the number of chains according to your measurement from here to, like, from the back to the front. And then so yeah, so like let me show you a little bit more about how you're going to go about this. And then I hope that most of you will at least do this, because I'm going to show you how you're going to make a headband from the beginning to the end. So for this particular headband, I think I did about, because I'm using a chunky yarn and I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook, I made about, I think, 82 chains. So that's enough to cover my head from, like, just all around my head, and it's not too tight or too loose, so I can be able to put it on and get it off comfortably. So no matter the length of time that your chains are going to take you, just be patient and you'll be able to make it. So I'm just going to show you a shorter version of this headband. So I have made quite a few chains. So I'm going to show you how you're going to, I have an incomplete one here. So this is an incomplete headband that I have done. The only thing that's remaining here is to make this beautiful knot over here and to attach the whole project so that it comes together. So as I mentioned earlier, I used about, I think, 82 chain stitches with a chunky yarn and a 4.5mm crochet hook. So now I'm going to show you how you're going to make this rose. So after you have chained the amount of chains that you need for your headband, I'm going to show you how you're going to make this repetitive rows. Okay, how many rows do you have, Miriam and Marion? Please unmute, Marion.
Okay.
I have 10 decent ones and about 3 absolutely botched ones at the beginning.
That's okay. You can use the good ones, and then the botched ones, you will redo them later. Marion, how many chains do you have? Sorry?
I have
15? I think if they're more than 10 or thereabout, that's okay. So after you have completed the number of foundation chains that you would want to make for your headband or whatever project. Now I'm going to show you how to make the, as I said, the repetitive rows. So you're going to block 2 chain stitches from your last one. You see, so I have like, this is the where my hook is at right now. So I'm going to block two chain stitches from the hook, and then you will crochet, you will put your hook into the 3rd chain stitch from your hook. Have you already counted? So block the first 2 stitches. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Block the first 2 stitches, and then so we're going to do in UK, I think, no, it's in the US terms, this is called a double crochet. UK and US terms are very different, so I hope I'm not going to confuse you, but I use the US terms, and this is a double crochet. So make sure that you crochet in the 3rd chain stitch from the hook. So what you're going to do, as you have seen, the chains have created some loops. So insert your hook into that chain, the 3rd chain from the hook. So I'm going to go under this. You pick into that loop, insert your hook. And then again, you're going to pick your yarn and pull it through that loop. Have you done it, Marion and Miriam? Okay, and then after, so you're going to have 3 loops on your hook, and then now you're going to pick your yarn one last time and then pull it through all the 3 loops. Please, you've done it. Please pull it. Let me show you again. So you insert your hook into the 3rd loop from the hook. You pull through. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook, and then you pull your yarn again, and then you pull through all the 3 loops like that. Yeah. Maron, have you been successful?
Getting there now.
Please let me know once you're done with that fast chain.
Okay, so I might have 4 on that one.
I think you might have wrapped your yarn twice on the hook. So make sure that you pick the yarn once so that you don't have more than 1 chain or loops on your hook. Let me do it again. You're going to, as we started, you're going to put your loop, you put your hook under the yarn like this. So you pick it, and then you insert your hook into the loop, and then you pick the yarn again and put it through the loop. And then you're going to pick the yarn one last time and pull it through all the 3 loops like this. Just make sure that the free hand that is holding your working yarn is how do I call it? It's flexible enough. Yeah, it's not loose or too tight, so that you can be able to pick your yarn as you work along your project. Is anyone else working along with us so that I can be able to see your progress?
Okay, I got it, I think.
Some people have, like,
Just go slow. Any luck?
Yeah, I think I'm
Oh, good. So the whole process will just be doing that. You, with your one hook into the loop, you pick your yarn, go through the foundation loop, pull your yarn through, and then you pull the yarn through all the 3 loops, just like that. So you will just be repeating the same process all through. And then after you're done with your very first stitch, your very first double crochet, this is where the bobby pin and the stitch marker come in place, because as a beginner your work might not come out straight, because you will be struggling where your first stitch was. So you can use either a stitch marker or a bobby pin if you don't have a stitch marker, and then you can mark your very first stitch. So this will help you know where, when you turn your rows, you'll be able to know where your row started from, and it'll make sure that your work has a straight edge like this one. So you're not going to struggle with having like a crooked row or anything. So your rows are pretty much going to be the same stitch double crochet. I'm going to do it again one last time. Let me start from the edge. So as I mentioned earlier, after you have completed your number of foundation stitches, how you're going to start your double crochet row is you're going to pick your yarn, and then you double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. So you insert your hook into one loop of the foundation chain, and then you pull your yarn through, and then you're going to have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to pick your yarn one last time and make sure that it goes through all the 3 loops. Let me show you again. So at all times, you're going to remain with a loop on your hook. So this will be the basis for all the double crochets that you're going to make along your project. So you pick your yarn again, and then this time you're going to go, when you're making your second stitch on your project, there is the next loop. So don't crochet twice into the same loop. So make sure that you're going into the next foundation chain loop, and then you just do the same thing. You insert your yarn, you pick it, and then you pull through the 3 loops like that. Okay. So make sure that when you're working all these double crochets, you're going to do 1 double crochet in each loop. I think I can be able to show you. Each foundation chain has at least, you can be able to separate the loops from the foundation chain. So just make sure that each stitch that you're going to make is in one chain. So, and then after you, let me finish this to the end of the row. After you finish your foundation chain, and then you have done the first row of your double crochet, and then you come to the very last foundation chain of your work. Let me just show you. So this is the last double crochet of the very first row. So because we are making a triangle, no, a rectangle, sorry. We're making a rectangle. As I said, the circumference of my head, I did about 82 stitches, and then let's assume that this is the first row. We have already completed the first row. So how we're going to build up on the next rows from that, when you get to the end of your row, you're going to chain, oh my God, sorry. You're going to chain 2 stitches. So let's assume where you have reached is the end of your project, of your first row. So you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then you turn your work like this, or you can even turn it like this, but just make sure that you have turned your work and that there are no knots forming. And then again, you're just going to basically repeat the process again. You pick your working yarn, and then you go. It's going to form a pretty. It's the same as the foundation chains. It's a chain as well. And then you're just going to pick your working yarn, go through your previous double crochet chains, and then again you're going to pick your working yarn and then go through all the 3 loops. So I'll show you again. You pick your yarn, go through the first row. Again, you're going to have 3 loops, and then you take your yarn and go through all the 3 loops. So the thing about this is that you're just going to repeat your rows for, I don't know, let me check how many. I did a total, this is a total of 10 rows, so it depends with how much coverage you want. I'm going to measure just so that I know how much it's. So this is about 4 inches wide from here to here. So it depends. If you want less inches or more inches, that all depends on you. So you're going to do as much rows as you want, or just as long as when you feel like you have enough rows that you need in your headband, you can stop. So again, you're just going to repeat these rows for, like, there's really like nothing complicated. Just make sure that whenever, each time you're working on your rows, you are going once into each stitch, so that you do not have, again, a project that is going to move away from being a rectangle. So I'm going to show you what just like that. Just again, when you get to the end of your row, let me show you. You're just going to basically do the same thing over and over. When you get to the end of your row, you're going to so this is the end of the row. Again, you're still going to chain 2, turn your work, and then go into the very first stitch over here. And again, you're going to just repeat the same double crochet process. So again, as I mentioned, as long as you're using chunky yarn, your project is going to go a little bit quickly, and you're not going to struggle a lot. And also make sure that your crochet hook is also on the higher end. As I mentioned earlier, I'm using a 4.5 hook with my chunky yarn. So after you have completed the amount of rows that you want for your headband, as I mentioned earlier, this is also 10 rows, and this is 10 rows as well. And then so this is the last double crochet of my last row. So I am going to, so now I'm going to cut, because I have come to the end of my project. So I'm going to how do I call this? You're simply just going to make sure that you have secured your end so that it does not come off. So you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to leave a long yarn, like just leave a long tail, because you're going to sew your ends together. I think that's long enough. And remember that we chained 1, so we're going to fasten off like this. So we make sure that we have secured the end and that it's not going to come off. And also this one, this headband has a very beautiful, like a beautiful twist at the front. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So, sorry. You grab your ends together like this, and then so you grab your ends together, and then make sure that the right sides are facing you. So make sure it's not twisted, like just make sure it's very straight, and then one end of your project, fold it like this and make sure that it's still straight. And then again, this other end, you're going to fold it like this. And then now, to make this beautiful knot at the front, you're going to, it's like you're inserting, I hope you can see it. It's like you're inserting one side like this. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yep, just want to let you know we're almost at time.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want to cut you off, so if you want to wrap up.
Yeah, so this is just about the end of it. So after you have done that, this long tail that you have left, you're going to use your darning needle to secure your ends. So after you have put your project like this together, you're going to sew in any way that you want. Like just make sure that I think most of you have basics of how to sew in anything. So just make sure that you're going through the entire project and sew in your ends. And then I'm going to finish this in a minute. And then I'm going to show you how the whole thing has come through. So
I use those sewing needles for the kids because they're so safe and they're plastic.
Yeah, that's it. they're plastic, and then it doesn't hurt you as you're sewing through.
Yeah.
So just do this. So I'm going to do this really fast, but I hope you have gotten a grip of what I'm trying to show you. So this is going to make your front really cute, like a turban twist kind of. And then so to secure the end, you're going to, just the way Miriam showed us, this is how I do it. I make a loop and then I pull my yarn through. So I repeat it twice. And then don't just cut your yarn off, at least pass it through your project for a bit and make sure that your ends are really secure and that it's not going to come off at any point, especially when you're washing. Because if you are not careful and you just cut your yarn here, you unravel your whole project. So like just make sure that you're going to secure the ends well. You can put your yarn as much as you want to, like just to make sure that you have secured your ends. So let's assume I have cut off the ends after I am done. So you're going to, so the part that you have sewn is going to be on the inside. So you just turn your work to the right side, and that's it. Look at that cute. That's how it's going to turn. So I'm going to show you real quick how it looks like, and that's just like the end of our project really. So see?
Such a nice color.
It's really easy. That's all. Thank you so much for being patient, and
Looks
sorry for
amazing.
rushing through, but I hope you've gotten something from it. Yeah. Over to you, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Janet. That was awesome. I wish I had yarn, but I'm gonna rewatch this. And yeah, thank you so much all for coming today. So just to quickly wrap up, just wanted to let all of you know that although we didn't get a chance to show some of the slides, I can send out some of the slides you sent about no clothes commitment, Miriam, so people can see. Maybe I'll just quickly share this one part so people can go to the website. So Miriam's part of something called no clothes commitment. Can everybody see? You want to briefly mention that, Miriam, before we wrap?
Yeah, sure. So last year in 2020, I gave up buying any clothes for a whole year, and I approximately saved 300 kilograms in carbon emissions, which is the same as 5 flights from San Francisco to Los Angeles, just by giving up buying clothes for just 1 year. Like I love buying my clothes, like I do, and I just decided, give it up and see how I get on. And I really I saved money. I helped the environment, and it also helped me change my mindset with shopping. I'm less of an impulse buyer, and I'm planning what I buy, whether it's like just something I'm going to have for many years, or if I'm going to buy something that's investment wise, that if I want to resell it at another stage, it's going to still have a high resale value. And I think there's so many different mentalities, different findings I got from it. So this website, you could sign up for it. It's completely free. So if you're interested in maybe trying out buying no clothes for a whole year, there's like 7-day videos, me explaining what I did, how I found it, and all the tips you need as well. And then at the end, if you want, you can sign the pledge and decide to buy no clothes for a whole year. But all you have to do is just sign up at the beginning to look at the videos. You don't have to decide if you're going to sign for the whole pledge, but just educate yourself. Just see maybe if this is something you're interested in, or whether you want to do for maybe 3 months or 6 months. But I know if you got that far, you definitely would want to do the year, just to have that, give yourself a pat on the back, But yeah, I've just loads of people have signed up already, and they're all committing to a full year. So just check it out. It's the No Clothes Commitment Challenge, and it's noclothescommitment.com is the website. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you as well if you are going to join it, or even if you just watch the videos, let me know what you think of them. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Miriam. I'll definitely be doing that in terms of saving money and also saving the planet. So yeah, thanks so much to everyone for joining today. Hope you learned something. I know I did. That was really interesting. We'll be doing another set of Textile Talks webinars in mid to late June and July, focused on all climate and fashion, which will be really exciting. But the last thing I want to say is that Threading Change is doing a series of projects raising awareness on anti-Asian racism in May, because May is Asian Heritage Month. So if you like to get involved as an organizer, as an ally, as an artist, we're looking for DJs, photographers, artists, and also policy enthusiasts. Feel free to message us at Threading Change or DM me personally at Kaleidosophia on Instagram. If you know of a business or if you have pieces you want to donate for the raffle prize, that would be amazing. And this will be a live stream fundraiser to raise awareness on anti-Asian racism. So that being said, thank you so much everyone for coming today. We had such a good time. Huge thank you to Janet and Miriam for the amazing workshops. I'm so excited to post this on YouTube and rewatch it. And yeah, just want to take this time to say thank you. And we can all come on camera to say thank you and bye. Thanks everybody.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.